The pioneering spirit is nothing new to agriculture, as innovation has made farming in America the most productive and technologically advanced in the world. Yet, tomorrow will present a new set of challenges that'll require new ideas, inventions, and innovations. That is what FarmNext is all about, showing you the future of farming. From autonomous robots to cutting-edge digital tools to better ways to fertilize your crops and increase soil health, this program will give you a glimpse of the exciting future agriculture has in store. Stay tuned to see what's next on FarmNext. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of FarmNext. I'm Max Armstrong, and I'm thrilled to be a part of giving you a front row seat into what's next in the world of agriculture. Before we get to what's next, let's talk about a transformational technology that's here right now, microbes that can replace nitrogen fertilizer. Not that many years ago, the co-founders of Pivot Bio dreamed of creating a better way to provide nitrogen to crops. And like the inventors you'll hear from today, they dedicated time, effort, and capital to turn their dream into a reality. Today, Pivot Bio's products deliver nitrogen to corn, wheat, and sorghum and have been used by farmers across the country. Pivot Bio knows just how challenging it is to transform an idea into a product and to get it into the hands of farmers. So Pivot Bio, together with Farm Progress, scoured the country and found 10 entrepreneurs with the potential to be that next big idea for the future of agriculture. Each of these companies is vying for a chance to showcase their idea at this year's Farm Progress Show in Boone, Iowa. In each episode, you'll see these cutting-edge innovations in action. You'll meet the brilliant minds behind each idea, and you'll learn more as each participant presents their ideas to leaders in investing, agribusiness, and farming. And you, our audience, can vote live during the show whether you think each idea has what it takes to appear at the Farm Progress Show. You'll do that by going to pivotbio.com/vote. There you can enter to win a VIP package to the Farm Progress Show. In today's episode, we take a look at crop.zone, a startup based in Germany that has developed an integrated weed management system that uses electricity to eliminate weeds. Their electric weeder is used in whole field burn down or desiccation of crops before harvest and is an effective and more sustainable replacement for glyphosate. Stay tuned to learn about crop.zone. But first, here's a short video from Pivot Bio. Take a look.
6:45 in the morning with a chance of showers.
Farmers have always taken care of what they value. Through hard work and resilience, they cultivated bountiful land. As the country grew, great revelations led to a green revolution, one that helped feed the world. Then it happened. Fewer hands worked the land, while more lived off it. Yet farmers took on the challenge. They pivoted, improved, and fed a nation hungry for progress. As Americans dialed up, farmers dialed in. Precision on the farm led to yields once thought impossible. But when it came to nitrogen, it wasn't precise or predictable enough. Not for the farmer, the crop, nor the environment. Today, Pivot Bio provides a better way to deliver a more dependable and productive nitrogen in the field, while giving growers a new tool to take care of what matters most. Farmers deserve a nitrogen worthy of who they are and what their land can provide. And now there is one. It's time to turn to a better nitrogen.
Welcome back to FarmNext, the show that gives you a front row seat into what's next in the world of agriculture. In today's episode, we take a look at crop.zone, a startup based in Germany that has developed an integrated weed management system that uses electricity to eliminate weeds. Before we meet Dirk Vandenhurst, the CEO of crop.zone, here's a short video about the company from the field. Take a look.
My name is Dirk Vandenhutz. I'm CEO and co-founder of crop.zone. I have been in the ag industry now for 25 years, and we founded crop.zone with the aim to develop alternative herbicide treatments. We kill the plant by applying electricity into the plant. The major problem by treating plants with electricity is a resistance which you will find on the top of the leaves. We can bridge that physical resistance with a conductive liquid. By doing so, we can apply the electricity direct into the leaves, and that kills the plant by destroying the chlorophyll and the water uptaking system. We have a sprayer which applies the conductive liquid. On the back you will find a 3-mounted system which is attached to the PTO, and there we apply the energy onto the plant. It just attaches to your current tractor, so that makes things very easy for farmers. They can use it like glyphosate and just burn down their cover crops. The industry is looking for alternatives, non-selective burn-down herbicides, and our crop.zone solution is a platform which allows farmers an economically viable way to treat weeds, but also the solution can be used in organic farming. The goal is to combine sustainability with cost saving in the inputs. If we spray tons of synthetic herbicides, it's very likely that the health and the quality of the soil is degrading, and we see that in research. If a farmer uses our system, they can desiccate crops without a synthetic herbicide. They can also prepare their soil without plowing. That allows them to use less input in their farm. And using less input on the farm means that you're acting more sustainable. That allows farmers to really work on a better soil quality. And that's what they need to increase their yield. Sustainability in the end will help to feed a growing population, but it also allows us to leave a planet to our kids which still has those resources.
With me at the desk here is the co-founder and CEO of crop.zone, Dirk Vandenhutz. Dirk, welcome. It's good to have you in the studio with us here.
Thanks for having me here.
You're a native of Germany. Tell us your background. You're a biologist by training, are you not?
Yes, I studied biology with the main focus of ecotoxology in Aachen University. And from there on, I start working in the ag business.
So you've been working in the agriculture field for quite a few years. What, 25 years or something like that?
25 years, yeah. I started a company which was focusing on seed business and herbicide screening. And from there, I was more looking into sustainable solutions in the agriculture. And this is how we ended up founding crop.zone.
Tell us how you actually got to this point. I mean, what was the genesis of the idea that you were addressing here?
Working in the ag industry, I knew that the chemical industry had problems to deliver new traits and new herbicides. On the other side, also consumers and regulations have the need for more sustainable herbicide treatment. And that all together brought me to the idea to do things differently, because we have to reinvent agriculture if we want to do better.
What's been the reaction of the people in agriculture that you've worked with as they've looked at your product?
Well, it depends with whom you speak. So if you talk to farmers, of course, farmers are very price sensitive. Their first question is, so what does it cost? If you talk to regulators, they like it because it offers an alternative to glyphosate. If you talk to your competitors, which is the chemical industry, of course, they say, well, we don't need that. Our products are safe and good. So it varies with whom you speak.
That speaks volumes, doesn't it, if your competitors don't like it?
Well, yeah, I think there is, first of all, there's not too many companies anymore working in the ag industry with herbicide development. And if you talk to them, it's very diverse what they think. I mean, these are researchers and they know that we continuously have to improve agriculture to get better, and we are part of that.
As I watched the tractor going across the field, I wondered about the ease of use for the producer.
Yes, it's quite easy. Last season we trained roughly about 100 drivers with the equipment, and it takes roughly about an hour to be trained on the equipment. So it's not very complicated. I mean, it's still a big machine, but farmers are used to drive these big machines. And if you look at the seat in the tractor, what they have there, the cockpit there, what they can do is tremendous.
Easily equipped, in other words, you're saying. Easy to put on the tractor.
Yeah, if you have a tractor and you know how to attach something to a tractor, which probably all farmers know, it's easy to do. In the end, it just mounts on this remount attachment of a tractor. You need to have a short introduction training, and then you can use it. We're currently treating at 12 meters application width, which is good for European standards and probably also for Switzerland. But if you talk to Australian farmers and US farmers, they like big equipment, 30 meters and above treatment width. So first of all, our goal is to make the application widths bigger. And with that, we drive the cost down because, well, you can treat more hectares per hour. That's our goal.
I can tell that you're passionate about your product. Where does your passion come from for this?
Well, having kids, you want to leave the planet as good as you received it. So sustainable agriculture is always what you think about it. So we want to bring the equipment not only to European farmers, but also to US and Australian farmers. And I think the agriculture has to change to more sustainable agriculture because that is where we leave a healthy soil. And the soil is the source of good farming. So if we can change our farming patterns to a more sustainable pattern, that will give farmers the ability to work with high quality soil.
I can imagine some growers are watching us, some of the early adopters saying, all right, when can I get my hands on this? When can we try it out? What's your plan for the United States?
Well, after a very successful last season in Europe, we're now shipping first equipment to Canada. We will be present in Saskatoon later this year, ready for the desiccation jobs around Saskatoon. And from there on, we will roll out next season. We're actively looking for partners. We're talking to the industry. And I think, well, you have to wait another 12 months, but then you can get a system here in the US.
We have more questions for you. Don't go away, Dirk. Now that we've learned how crop.zone got to where they are today, our panel will scope out where the company could be heading next when we return after these brief messages.
Pivot Bio is changing the way we grow our food.
Every plant on this planet needs sun, water, and nitrogen.
Nitrogen is the fourth most abundant element in any living organism.
Everything the plant needs, everything the plant produces, contains nitrogen.
About 100 years ago, we had a growing population, we had the need to grow more food. We realized that by producing nitrogen fertilizer in gigantic centralized factories, we could then distribute it to all of these farms.
We've been able to feed a growing population simply because we are able to produce nitrogen and deliver it to crops.
But we're now starting to see a lot of the really detrimental effect on our environment.
It's a process entirely dependent on fossil fuels.
It consumes a huge quantity of carbon and releases that into the atmosphere just to make the nitrogen that you have in the fertilizer.
As a farmer, fertilizer can be one of the biggest headaches. Fertilizer can be both expensive and also inconsistent in performance. Only about half of the fertilizer that gets applied to a field ends up being fuel for a crop. The rest is lost to the environment.
And that can pollute the water, can even volatilize into the air and create greenhouse gas emission as well.
So we have these inherent inefficiencies that make it challenging for every farmer to generate enough food for the planet. And we can do better.
Pivot Bio is a nitrogen innovator because it's a new way for us to help farmers fertilize their crops reliably.
Pivot is leading the charge in being able to produce nitrogen on demand, to spoon feed it to the crop on a daily basis.
We are the pioneers of a nitrogen-producing microbe that can be delivered at scale to farmers that is providing an alternative to synthetic fertilizer.
We've built a disruptive product. It changes everything. It's in use across millions of acres today.
It's always there. It's always working. You can count on it.
I know that nitrogen is going to be there.
That's where there's a really neat play with farmers. You get to marry both the economics as a farmer and the environmental side of things.
The potential of this technology is limitless. What we're doing here can change agriculture as we know it.
Fertilizer has been the cutting edge technology for the last 100 years. It's hit a limit. At Pivot, we've innovated the nitrogen that will power the next 100 years of agriculture.
Welcome back to Farm Next. We're now on to the final portion of today's program, our panel examination. And we'll introduce to you our panelists. First of all, Karsten Temme, CEO and co-founder of Pivot Bio. Roger Underwood, an entrepreneur and investor in the agriculture industry. And finally, Lisa Peterson, who is a grower, a farmer. Osage, Iowa is where her farm is located. Well, Karsten, let's talk a bit about your excitement here and being a part of this, why you want to really involve some of these inventors.
Well, for me, it's all about solving problems, and I love being able to talk entrepreneur to entrepreneur and take ideas and turn them into a solution that can benefit us all. So looking forward to getting into the details of how we can impact a grower's operation.
Roger, share with us something about your background.
I started an ag chemical specialties business in 1982 and grew it up with a business partner to a couple $100 million in revenue, and we sold it 10 years ago. And since then, I've become a serial investor in entrepreneurial startups around the world in agriculture.
Lisa, you farm a genuine farm in the northern part of Iowa, not far from the Minnesota border, so you're out there putting products to work, checking them out, and seeing if they work, right?
You're most definitely, Max, and that's what's fun about being here today is getting to see some new technologies and thinking about how they can be applied to farmers like me and in our operation.
Well, Karsten, let's lead off with your questioning here. What strikes your fancy about this product that Dirk has brought here?
Well, let's get into the details. Maybe you could just walk us through a bit more about how it works under the hood and what are some of the problems that this is best at solving for a grower.
Okay, so the crop.zone solution can be seen as a direct alternative to a non-selective burn-down herbicide like glyphosate or other chemical herbicide. So how does it work? We use a mechanism which is around, the idea is around for quite a while. You will find Russian researchers reporting about that in 1905 already. So we use electricity to kill a plant. To do that, you need to get the electricity into the plant. And then you destroy the chlorophyll and the water uptaking system, so you have a full kill of the plant. Now the problem is the plant itself. The surface of the leaf acts like a physical resistor. You need to bridge that physical resistor to get the power into the plant, and here is the idea of crop.zone. We spray a organic regulated conductive liquid on the plant just before the treatment with the same equipment, and that allows us to lower the energy impact of kill the plant by a factor of 8 to 10. By doing so, of course, we can scale the systems up to 12 and 30 meters. We can drive faster. And of course, suddenly our business is not only a machine business, it's a business of a combination of a consumable, what we spray there, and the machine. And that's the whole idea behind crop.zone.
I think you had mentioned there might be a few applications of using your solution across a growing season. Can you elaborate?
Yes, if you look at the growing season where farmers use non-selective herbicides, it's in the beginning of the season when they want to get down their cover crop. That's an application where our system can be used because it's quick, fast, it's easy to use and quite cheap. And then of course, if you get your seeds in the ground, you can do a pre-emergent treatment before the seed comes out. And then at the end of the season, you can use the equipment to get crops harvest ready. That's very common because it allows farmers to harvest quicker, get a more equal crop. In potato is necessary, otherwise you don't get skin on your potato and you cannot store it. So that's where the system is being used mainly.
So the global ag equipment business tends to be dominated by a small handful of players. So how do you intend to establish your niche in that market?
That's true. There's just a couple of full liners who can, provide you with equipment globally. And of course, we're trying to network with them. On the production side, we were very well set up. One of our shareholders come from the car industry, so we have 2 production lines where we can very professionally produce our equipment. We have our own welding system, powdering systems. So production is very good, but what you need is service on the farmer. If you sell our equipment, you need a local service, and this is why we look for partners globally to provide that service.
I'd like to follow up a little bit more on how the product works and also the cost of it. Obviously, as a farmer, that's going to be the first thing that comes to a farmer's mind, comparable to what I'm currently using, let's say a glyphosate burn down. But then also, how is the electricity produced? And it actually works, the mechanics.
Okay, let's start how it's produced. So the equipment is attached to the tractor on this remount, and you just put it on the PTO. That's the primary energy we take out of the tractor. There's an alternator, and then there's our electronic, which converts the electricity to the treatment electricity, to the pulsed one. So that's very easy to use. On the cost side, it depends on what kind of treatment you do, because with some treatments, we have different volt fuels, and the combination makes different prices. But in average, we price, at least in Europe, at a similar price as chemical treatment. The downside of our equipment is, for now, we only treat at 12 meter, which gives you a little impact on the labor cost. So this is why our engineers will show the first 30-meter system this season as a first prototype, because we know that it's all about the labor cost in farming. We can only bring that down by building larger equipments, because then, with one pass, you get more hectares, and that's how the cost goes down.
I'm struggling with the metric conversion there.
Sorry, yeah.
I'm a knucklehead who never learned the metric system. Can you help us out a little bit there?
Oh, that's complex. Well, 30 meters is what farmers used to use in Iowa or up in Canada. I don't know how that calculated in feet, but it's the big sprayers you use here. So
90 to 100 feet, something like that?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, it's the euro, I guess. Well, I'll learn that too. Karsten, you have another question?
Well, one of the things it sounds like you mentioned some of the ways that your approach can outperform glyphosate. Can you elaborate on some other benefits where you just are able to do things that you can't with the chemical alternative?
Yeah, first of all, it allows farmers to shift to an organic growing pattern. So if you grow cover crops and you don't want to plow your ground, you want to stay with no-till, you need to use a chemical herbicide right now. With our system, you can stay on your organic farm pattern, don't plow, and shift to an organic no-till approach, which I think is good for the soil and improves everything. Also, our application is not weather dependent and is very quick. So farmers like to plan things, and they're independent, or their biggest threat is the weather. So if there's good weather, they want to go out and do things quick. And this system allows you to do things quick, because the burn down period compared to glyphosate is much quicker. In the end, you will have a longer season, because burn down of cover crops gets quicker, a couple of days, and your desiccation can be done later towards the end of the season. So the time in between is longer, which is increasing yield on your farm.
As you look at the market into the U.S., and you said about 12 months out, I believe, until you're hitting the U.S. market, where are you going to focus first? Are you looking at more of a Midwest? Are you looking more potato crops?
We start operation this season around Saskatoon. We do some field trials there in chickpea, oat, and potatoes. And then, of course, we're looking for the big growing areas of potatoes, cereals. We also have been contacted by many cotton farmers, because they desiccate their cotton as well. And there is a growing demand for biological cotton. So they spray their cotton, and they get lower prices if they spray it. And they could get higher prices if they could deliver an organic product. So this is something we're currently investigating. Overall, well, we go where farming is, which means Iowa, Nebraska, all that areas, right? The typical areas where farming takes place.
Tell me more about your business model. I'm always curious on the financial side.
So we have 2 revenue streams, which is the machine and it's the conductive liquid. The conductive liquid runs on the same pricing module as herbicides. So this is actually where our margin sits. With machines, your income can only come from after sales and service. Machine business has very small margins, and we know that. So we call it the Nespresso capsule or inkjet printer module. You have a machine, but the recurrent revenue comes from the input, from the volt fuel.
I want to follow up on the conductive liquid and that being your recurring revenue.
Yep.
Any concerns with competitors coming in and owning that space or trying to compete with you on that recurring revenue?
Well, first of all, the machine, similar like printers, identifies the conductive liquid based on the conductivity, based on an RFID chip, which is printed on the canister. So we can identify what goes in there because we have different conductive liquids for different applications, and so we can make sure that the application is done according to our standards. If there's competitors, they're very welcome because, well, if their conductive liquid goes through our machine, they have to pay license. So every company which have a great idea to improve our conductive liquid is very welcome to develop that and just put it in our machine. That's perfect.
What are we talking about in terms of voltage coming out of here?
It depends. So very small plants can be treated on a very low energy level, and stronger plants need more power. In average, we say per 50 centimeters, we treat with an average of 5 kilowatt hours per half meter.
How do you plan on growing your business primarily here in North America in the near and long-term future?
Oh, we just had a very successful financial round. We were able to raise $11 million earlier this year. This will allow us, of course, to grow the business quite quickly. We need to be present in the US. You cannot do business from Europe in the US, so we need to build up an organization here. Again, we want to do that with partnerships. We're talking to industry partners here to find the right partners. And then once we have that, we will be able to provide service and everything to our customers, to the farmers. We need financial modules. That's how we envision the growth.
Dirk, we wish we had more time, but we thank you for sharing the story with us, and we wish you the best as you go forward.
Thank you.
I want to say thanks to our panelists also for drawing out some great questions, and we thank you folks out there. But we want to remind you, we'd love to know what you think about crop.zone. Go to the pivotbio.com/vote website, pivotbio.com/vote. There you can also enter to win a VIP pass to the Farm Progress Show in Boone, Iowa. FarmNext has been brought to you by Pivot Bio. Pivot Bio, the nitrogen that stays put, whether or not. FarmNext is produced by 22 Creative Group in association with REL Productions and has been a presentation of Farm Progress Broadcast. If you'd like more information about FarmNext, please visit pivotbio.com/FarmNext.